How's it going, you guys? Welcome back. So, in this video, I want us to talk about a very, I think, pressing issue for a lot of guys, a lot of young people now, which is, and you want to ask yourself, right? And you want to be something that you aren't. In this case, right? What does it mean to be a social butterfly? How do you become a social butterfly, essentially, right? The first thing is, and without a doubt, if you don't prioritize this part, nothing else that I say matters, right? And this is the idea of trying to encapsulate and solidify uh, energy. All right, how do you have energy, right? How do you have a constant flow of energy, right? In this case, you want to stay spry. That is sort of my reason for being. Um, and so you need to capture that first, right? First and foremost, how are you getting your energy? Are you energized? All right, that is the ultimate real litmus test for health. Is are you feeling energized throughout most of the day? So that's the first thing, right? Get that in order, and then everything else will fall into place from there. Okay, so the one other thing you have to keep in mind is you want to become, especially when it comes to being a social butterfly. If anybody's ever seen pollinators, it's an apt metaphor for this, right? Because pollinators, what they do, I'm a big sucker for hummingbirds. I love them. I see one just about every day and I hear them before I see them. But anyhow, I digress. The thing with hummingbirds is if you see them, they're poking flowers, right? In Spanish they call that picaflor, which is it's a loose translation to picking at flowers, right? But this is what you want to do, right? You want to poke and prod. Right? In this case, you want to be the king of small talk. All right. And what I mean by small talk is think about it like this. You need to picture that you're in an elevator, right? The pitch is quick. It's got to be witty. It's got to be banterous. It's got to be to the point. Okay, so there isn't any fluff. Uh, Forget about being extra wordy and expressive. I think there's ways of doing things. Your delivery matters a lot. And in this case, I would say saying more with less, all right, or less is more, all right. So this is what it comes down to: is sometimes you can respond with one word, and that word has the effect and has the intended outcome that you desire. And so you need to really get comfortable with just saying one thing, saying things in very meaningful ways with less, I think is ultimately where the power of the small talk comes from. The other thing is really, I mean, really at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to is practice is the only way. There is no other way around it. If you don't practice and you won't know what works, what you like, how you are. Um, and believe me, I bomb in real time, in real life, all the time. I mean, that's my way of doing it. I see it as like I'm experimenting. Um, so I'll say things and I think this might hit, and sometimes it does, but many times it doesn't. But that is, I'm willing to assume that risk, right? Those are the consequences of refining my skills, right? Is that I'm not always gonna hit, right? The what I say won't always have the intended effect. Um, but surely anybody who's on the more introverted side will understand that is sort of the trial and error of becoming a social butterfly. What else can I tell you? Um, you got to go from being a fly on the wall to being back to what I said, a picaflor or a hummingbird. Okay, so if you don't know, if you've never seen a hummingbird, I feel sorry for you. But if let's just say, for example, you live in an ecosystem that doesn't have the luxury of having a hummingbird around, go watch a YouTube video. Um, see what they do, and that is kind of like the style in which you should approach becoming a social butterfly, right? Become a pollinator rather than not just a butterfly. Um, and think about it like this: the transition will be gradual. It's not like I just woke up one day and just became spry. It was a gradual thing. Um, and it takes some time, so you have to be patient. Or you can go all in and just say, you know what, today's the day. I become a different person, and that's okay as well. It just depends on what works for you. What else? Take the other thing too. I think for anybody who's an introvert like myself, is that you can understand and be okay with the fact that you could take breaks, right? So I have periods where I'm actively very social, and then I have other periods where I'm a recluse and I enjoy the solitary sort of lifestyle where I'll do things alone. I'll have food by myself or dinner, as they call it, right? What else would I do? I will read a book. I'll go to a bookstore. I'll go to the park. I'll do things by myself because sometimes I think I need that break, and then I balance that out, and then I sort of can get back into, socializing again. And I found that balance and what works for me. So you got to figure out how much socializing you want to do and how that works for you. Um, and yeah, ultimately, you want to be able to do this so that you have the energy to socialize. Because what may happen is, because it does require some bit of intentionality and energy, is that if you're not willing to do it all the time, you may not enjoy it as much, right? So at the end of the day, there should be some enjoyment to this whole aspect of being a social butterfly. Um, but yeah, so like I said, just to bring it all back, energy is sort of the number one priority, okay? And then everything goes downstream from there. So focus on that, prioritize that, and then you can move forward from there. But anyhow, I wish you the best, and hopefully it does work out for you in terms of becoming a social butterfly. See you in the next one.